All right, welcome back to the Explainer. If you've been glancing at the charts lately, you know exactly what I mean. The crypto market is absolutely heating up right now. We're seeing some incredible price action across the board, and today we're going to break down exactly what's driving the space right this minute. We're skipping the fluff and looking right past the hype to understand the actual, real-world mechanics behind this rally.
$82,000. That is the massive number we're staring down today. I mean, just think about that for a second. Even with all this incredibly high market volatility and a constantly shifting global landscape, the flagship cryptocurrency is just digging its heels in. It is standing firm above 82K. And honestly, this isn't just some brief, lucky spike. It is a serious demonstration of resilience.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with Bitcoin's 80K price action, move into Ethereum and altcoin momentum, uncover the big market drivers, and finally take a look at what to watch next. Starting off with Section 1, Bitcoin's 82K price action, establishing the current reality. So, when we look at the immediate technical landscape, we've got two very clear actionable signposts. Following a strong recovery this week, Bitcoin's been trading pretty consistently in that $81,000 to $82,000 range. But right beneath that, we've got this really solid foundation of support sitting right between 79K and 80K. On the flip side, our ceiling, those resistance levels, are boxed in between 83K and 85K. Now, why does this matter to us? Well, analysts are watching that upper boundary like a hawk. If Bitcoin breaks above that 85K resistance, the expectation is another extremely strong rally. But what's absolutely fascinating here is how Bitcoin is just completely defying standard expectations. Traditionally, when we see strong U.S. economic data, risk on assets like crypto can take a bit of a hit because investors flock back to traditional safe havens. But right now, Bitcoin is remaining surprisingly stable regardless of those broader economic indicators. It's showing this independent strength that is, frankly, catching a lot of traditional analysts completely off guard.
Up next, Section 2, Ethereum and altcoin momentum, beyond the Bitcoin baseline.
So while Bitcoin is kind of just stabilizing at the top, we're seeing a really fascinating contrast with Ethereum. It is actively gaining attention and recovering its strength. In fact, in recent sessions, it's actually been outperforming Bitcoin, currently trading right in that $2,300 to $2,400 range. And what this tells us is that market confidence isn't just isolated to Bitcoin anymore, it's starting to flow down the market cap ladder.
And hey, it's definitely not just Ethereum. Traders are actively rotating their capital out of the safety of Bitcoin and moving it into higher-risk alternative assets. We are seeing incredibly strong momentum, specifically in Solana and XRP. And beyond just those individual Layer 1 coins, entire sectors are catching fire right now. AI-related tokens, privacy coins, and DeFi, or decentralized finance projects, they're all seeing massive influxes of volume. This rotation, it's a classic sign of traders looking for those outsized returns as overall market sentiment turns positive.
If you want to really understand this capital rotation, look at the Altcoin Season Index. With this index ticking upward, it's a huge metric indicating stronger market participation outside of Bitcoin. Traders are officially off the sidelines. They're deploying capital and searching for opportunities in alternative cryptocurrencies. It is a really strong indicator of exactly where the market's risk appetite is sitting right now.
Which brings us to Section 3, the big market drivers. What's fueling the rally?
All right, so there are three core pillars propping up this current bullish sentiment, and these push us way past the retail hype of previous cycles. First up, spot Bitcoin ETF inflows remain incredibly strong. Wall Street is actively buying. Second, institutional adoption just keeps growing. Large financial firms aren't just dipping their toes in anymore. They are heavily increasing their involvement in crypto products and services. And third, the whole synergy between AI and blockchain narratives, it's becoming wildly popular again, drawing in speculative traders who are looking for the absolute next big tech frontier.
Adding to all that institutional momentum is a really significant shift in the regulatory landscape. Traders are heavily factoring in potential progress on U.S. crypto regulation. Specifically, there's growing optimism surrounding the Clarity Act. And look, regardless of how you feel about the politics of it, from a pure market perspective, the prospect of clear, defined rules of the road is giving large pools of capital the confidence they've been waiting for to finally enter the space.
But let's bring this back down to earth for just a second, because this really illustrates the tug-of-war happening right now in the global markets. On one side, we've got our incredibly bullish crypto drivers, institutional ETF inflows, and all that favorable regulation talk.
But on the other side, investors still have to balance this against some pretty harsh macroeconomic realities. We're still dealing with severe geopolitical uncertainty worldwide, and Federal Reserve policy continues to cast a big shadow over all risk assets. This friction right here is exactly why volatility remains so incredibly high.
Let's move to our final segment. Section 4. What to watch next. Forward-looking indicators.
Listen, if there is one single metric you take away from this explainer today, make it Bitcoin dominance. Right now, it's basically acting as the ultimate compass. The crucial point here is that when dominance shifts at these high levels, the entire altcoin market feels the ripple effect immediately. It's the gauge telling us whether liquidity is just concentrating in the safety of Bitcoin or if it's getting ready to explode outward into the rest of the market.
So, let's see how this builds out into two very distinct high-stakes scenarios for the coming days. Scenario 1. If Bitcoin stabilizes and holds its ground above that 80K mark, the likely outcome is that altcoins will confidently continue their recovery. But Scenario 2. If Bitcoin falters and drops below that crucial 79 to 80K support level, the entire market, Bitcoin and altcoins alike, could see another really sharp correction. It literally all hinges on Bitcoin's footing right now.
As we navigate a market that's looking cautiously bullish, here is your actionable watch list for the week. Keep your eyes locked on those ETF inflows. Are the big institutions still buying? Watch for any U.S. regulation updates, especially around that Clarity Act. Pay close attention to Federal Reserve news that might shake up those macro realities we talked about. Monitor Ethereum's strength relative to Bitcoin so you can gauge that altcoin momentum. And finally, just keep a solid pulse on overall market sentiment. These are the variables that can flip our trajectory in an instant.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the forces shaping today's crypto landscape. The numbers are massive, the stakes are super high, and the momentum is absolutely palpable. But the real questions we're left with are these. Will Bitcoin shatter that resistance and hit brand new highs this month? And amidst all this crazy capital rotation, which altcoin are you watching right now? Keep learning, keep analyzing those charts, and use this data to navigate the market. Until next time, stay focused.